Hey everyone, it's Madison with magicreview.org. This is something I'm trying, and we'll kind of see how this goes. You can let me know what you think of this. But often whenever I review products, and I get products and start playing with them and testing them, I sometimes come up with little tweaks and subtleties and ideas that may elevate it or make it a little bit easier or just kind of change it up a little bit. And I typically don't share those, I keep them to myself. But I thought maybe I'll start sharing those ideas here on the blog to kind of give you guys a little bit of insight into how I think. And I like to think of myself, I'm not a creator, I don't create, but I like to think of myself as a tinkerer. So I can often kind of find a creation, play with it a little bit, and discover some little subtle changes that can help maybe take it to the next level. But today, I wanted to give some of those ideas with Stratis. And if you don't know, this has just come out. It's Stratis from Vanishing Ink. It's an awesome, awesome trick. The idea is you take a dollar bill, it's signed by the spectator, it's folded up, and the bill disappears or it changes or whatever you want to happen to the bill. And then the bill, the one they sign, actually ends up in between the layers of a playing card. So you rip the card open to take the bill out, okay? If you want to know more about it, you can go watch the trailer on Vanishing Ink. That's not the point of this. Or read my review. If you just stumbled on this video, the link to the review's in the description, but odds are you found this video because you're already reading the review. So I'm not going to show you that. I'm not going to perform the routine. Instead, what I think is more beneficial for you guys is to see how quick the load is from various parts of the body. So from various places you can have the gimmick. I'm going to load the bill. I'm not even going to take the cards out of the box. I'm literally just going to load it and say, and now it's ready. And then we'll kind of cut and do another little take. And I'll give you some little subtleties and ideas that I've had along the way. Okay? So let's get into the first one. So this first load is the one that's seen in the trailer. It's the one that they use in performances. And I think it is the best one. I'm not going to even vanish these bills or anything for these demonstrations. I'm literally just going to start with it in finger palm. I'm going to load it and come out and kind of just give you a quick little byplay of what it looks like, okay? So here's the first load, which I think is the best. It looks like this. As long as you're wearing a jacket, it's that fast. I take the cards out of the box, and literally that bill is now ready to go in between the fibers of the playing card, okay? This has a lot of benefits. Again, I think this is the best way to do it. I think trying to do it out of your back pocket or something like that is not as good as this, and I think you're going to struggle, as you'll see later. I think doing it from the coat pocket is the fastest, bar none. It's quick, it's easy, you're in and out, looks just like you're moving a deck of cards. Some things that I've discovered, let me get rid of the Stratis for a second. Some things that I've discovered that have helped me is to take some playing cards or stuff your pocket with something so that it keeps the Stratis gimmick a little bit higher up in the pocket. So I just have these two decks of cards in the bottom of my pocket inside here. And that just kind of gives me a little bit of a platform that I can then set the Stratis gimmick on. And I don't think it's explaining or revealing too much to say that the Stratis gimmick's basically a card box. So I'm just going to use a card box for demonstration, so I'm not using the gimmick. But basically, the Stratis gimmick just gets set on top of those decks so that it's kind of sticking out of the pocket a little bit. Now, I wouldn't use two decks of cards because if I walk around and jiggle, it kind of falls in between them. But maybe stuffing this pocket with some fabric, silk handkerchiefs, not really good enough. I've tried that. Maybe some actual pocket handkerchiefs. Or maybe even building a little bit of a holder that you can stick in your pocket if you're going to go out and perform this. It just makes it a little bit easier to not have to dig all the way down into the pocket to do the load. And I think that's the most efficient. So that's the one I just used here, is I just had this little platform of two boxes in my pocket. And I put this Stratis gimmick on top of there. And then that way when I open my pocket, I'm looking at the Stratis gimmick. I know right where to go. I don't have to fiddle around. And I think this is the type of thing that looking at it is very helpful and it looks innocent enough. If I'm going to my pocket, I don't have to go in blindly trying to find something. I can look and see where it's at. So don't be afraid to look, okay? Now I want to show you what that load looks like if I don't have something in the pocket. So if it's straight in all the way to the bottom of the pocket. Okay, so this is loading the Stratis gimmick with no little platform in the pocket. It's just the Stratis gimmick in the pocket, okay? So here we go, ready? And now I'm ready. Still not slow, right? Still pretty quick load, but definitely not as fast as it could be. Let me try to use my tip of looking inside to see if that can help me make it any faster. Here we go, ready? And now I'm ready. So it works. It works. Don't get me wrong. You can absolutely do this. And in real life, whenever you're talking and you're just having a conversation and you look in your pocket and you go in to grab the deck of cards, it works. But I think you can see it's way faster just to have it lifted in the pocket a little bit. And you know, this is one of those things that every pocket's going to be different. If you don't have a really deep inside pocket and it's really shallow, then you're already golden. But like with this particular jacket, the bottom of my card case is way down here and the top of the pocket is way up here, right? So I have I have to go in quite a bit. I have to go in about, well, that much. About the length of my fingers. I have to actually go into my pocket before I even hit the card case. So because of that, I'm kind of having to fumble around extra fabric before I can actually get it in place. Like I just loaded it then, that's how long it took. And even if I were to pull this open and take a look, that definitely makes it easier, but because it's inside the pocket, it's just a little bit slower. So my first bit of advice is if you want to use this top pocket load, which is my favorite, then I would suggest having something to lift that gimmick up a little bit. It just makes it that much easier to get the load in. It's literally like boop, and you're ready to go. It's really, really fast, okay? So that's my first tip. Okay, now I want to show you what this load looks like if I have the gimmick in a side pocket. Okay, so I've got it in this side pocket over here. We're going to start clean. Here we are. And then I'm going to go for the load. And this pocket is sideways, which I should mention. And we're ready to go. We can take the cards out of the box now. This pocket does sit sideways, so it's not the top kind of pocket. I think a top kind of pocket would be easier, but I wanted to show you the side pocket as an option. Definitely not super quick. It takes some time, it takes some fumbling. It's the kind of thing that I think you'd want to do more in a casual situation with your hands in your pocket as you talk, where you have plenty of time to try to get it loaded. I'm going to reset and I'll show you that again. Okay, here it is again. So I have the bill back. So, you know, if I had this finger palmed, let's say I tore it up, I made it disappear, or I would put it in an envelope, secretly sneak it out. They think they're still holding the envelope. And then I can chat and I can talk about, you know, whatever I'm going to do for the presentation, for the trick. This gives me plenty of time to get this thing ready. And then maybe I even come back out and then I talk a little bit more and I talk about what they're holding or whatever. And now I'm already loaded so that when I go in, it can be a quick retrieval of the card case and I'm ready to go. And without having to fumble in the pocket as I take it out. So how long my hand was in the pocket before I took it out to kind of talk some more, that's how long it took me to load it. So it's definitely more difficult when you have these side pockets because of the way it just sits and trying to find it, you just have to kind of fiddle around a little bit. So I think if you want to do it from the coat pocket, you can. But my bit of advice, my tip number 2 for you is if you're going to do it in the coat pocket, you need to routine it so that you can stick your hands in your pocket, take some time, chat, load it, take all the time you need, and then come back out and have a conversation with your hands before you eventually go back in and remove the card case. Because the last thing you want to do is this. So you've got your bill there. Ah, my cards, right? Clearly something's going in the pocket. But if you have a relaxed position there, you load it in, you take the time you need, you put it in there, you come back out, you chat, and then when you go in, you can have a quick removal of the card box. I think that's the way to go. So if you want to load from the jacket pocket, totally cool, you can. It takes a little bit longer, it's a little bit more fiddly, but my advice, tip number 2, is to chat, load it, take your hands back out, and then go back in a second time for the retrieval a little bit after some time delay. Okay, a little costume change, just remove the coat, don't need it anymore. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like to load this in the front pocket. They don't really mention the front pocket, but it's an option, so it's over here in my front pocket. Again, if I had this palmed and I wanted to go in and retrieve the deck of cards, I can now retrieve the deck of cards and take the cards out of the case, and I'm ready to go, okay? So pretty quick, I think, not too bad. So here's a second demonstration of that in the front pocket. So I'm here, and I'm talking, I have a conversation, I go in to remove the deck of cards from my pocket, and literally, like that, I am ready to go, and I can take the cards out, and we're ready, okay? What's good about this is it is pretty fast. Obviously, just like with the jacket pocket, the depth of your pocket and the pants you're wearing is gonna make a difference. Would you wanna put a whole big card case in your skinny jeans? Probably not. But something like this that has some looseness to it, I have plenty of room to do what I need to do. So one more demonstration, it's here, it's ready to go. I'm gonna go into the pocket, take the cards out of the case, and I'm ready to go, okay? So again, pretty quick, pretty efficient, pretty easy. My advice for this is if you have your Stratis gimmick, my advice is to, how can I say this? Okay, here's my advice. If you have your Stratis gimmick, you want the face of the box to be against your body when you're gonna do it from your pocket and not this way. A lot of times when they demonstrate it, the box is like this, so that when you pull it out, you can see the bicycle case. And it's a little bit easier to get into the removal position. But for this front pocket, I have found it's easier if the back is facing the audience and the inside, the face of the box is against your leg. Just makes it a little bit quicker and easier to load. It's a little bit easier to go where you need to go in that case. So that's my tip number 3. If you're loading from the front pocket, do it with the back facing the audience. That just gives you a little bit of easier time getting the load done. Okay, in the back pocket, here we go. So I'm gonna take the cards out of my back pocket. Give me just a second. There we go. And now I'm ready to go. So the back pocket is one that they mentioned, but I actually think it's one of the worst ways to do this. I'll reset and I'll show you again. So here it is again from the back pocket, okay? I have it here, it's ready to be loaded. I'm gonna reach back, try to take the cards out of the box, And literally, without trying to over exaggerate, that's how long it takes before I am actually ready to take the cards out of the box. So they mentioned you can do that out of the back pocket if you don't want to do it out of the jacket pocket. I don't think it's a viable option. I really don't. I think it's too much fumbling for you to be in your back pocket. Because if we have something in the back pocket, like a wallet, we're so used to just habitually going back there, grabbing it, and pulling it out, that having to take a second digging in your back pocket, first of all, it doesn't look very good. Second of all, it seems like, what is this weird man doing? So here's a third demonstration. Here it is in the hand. If I want to load it, as fast as I can possibly get it, is that. Now, obviously, with some practice, I may could get it faster, but I think it's not worth the effort. Well, I'm not going to say that. With some practice, it could be worth it, right? You could really spend some time to take it out of the back. If you're like, hey, I want this to come out of the back pocket, then you could do that. But I don't think it's the best option. However, there is a little change you can make that makes from the back pocket a little bit more viable. So again, we're here. We're having a conversation. The bill's just vanished. I want to take the cards out of my back pocket, and we're ready to go. It's a little bit quicker, okay? Still not my preferred method, but it is a little bit quicker. Here's a second demonstration of it. So have the bill in the finger palm ready to go. I've done the vanish, I've done whatever I'm going to do, and now I'm going to remove the card box from the back pocket. It is definitely a little bit faster. It looks pretty natural, and maybe you can guess what I'm using here. I'm using my old friend, the platform, again. So if I have a box that I have, this is just a beat up box, but if I have it full of cards in my back pocket laying like this, I can put my stasis gimmick where it needs to be on top, and that gives me all the room I need to be able to quickly go back and find it. Because this is sort of similar to the jacket pocket in that this back pocket can get so deep that I have to like reach my hand in my pocket to load it. And if I just put another card box and then set that stasis gimmick on top, which would be sort of like this, it gives me a little bit, basically it raises that stasis gimmick, sorry, I keep saying stasis, the Stratis gimmick out of the pocket a little bit so that I can load it outside of the pocket and not have to reach my hand all the way in my pocket to load it. So again, it's a difference of my hand being here to load, which I feel like I can take some time here because maybe it's stuck in the pocket. This is okay to me. This is not okay, okay? This area is fine to load. Way down here seems a little suspicious. So again, if you want to use the back pocket load, my advice, I think I'm on what, tip number 4? Like tip number 4 is to put a little platform deck of cards or a little piece of cardboard or stuff the pocket with some tissue paper or toilet paper, and then you have that little bit of a platform so that the stasis gimmicks out of the pocket just a little bit, making it a little bit quicker and a little bit more of a viable option. But here's my biggest problem with the back pocket. You're gonna sit on your gimmick. You're gonna, right? At some point, you're gonna sit on the gimmick. So this would have to be an environment where you're up and walking around the whole time. So keep that in mind. If you are gonna perform the Stratis gimmick out of the back pocket, make sure you don't sit on it. My 5th and final tip is to actually load the Stratis gimmick right out in the open. Don't try to load it while you're in your pocket. Don't try to load it in your back pocket, front pocket, jacket pocket, side pocket. Don't worry about that. Instead, keep the deck wherever you want to keep it, in your pocket, in your jacket pocket. Genuinely, you don't have to worry about it. You just keep it there. And then whenever you're ready to load the bill, it looks something like this. You take the cards out of your pocket. Man, that was fast because that was fair. I just took the cards out of my pocket, and that was the load. Super quick. It's just a pat-pat on the deck as a little gesture, and you're ready to go. Now, obviously, you wouldn't say, that was super fast. That's not a load. You would do something else, some other kind of gesture that emphasizes the box or the cards or whatever. And then just in this gesture, you do the load, okay? So let me kind of briefly, I don't need to explain, but all I'm doing is I'm gonna go to a thumb palm. So I'm gonna set everything else I did in a finger palm. For this one, I'm gonna go to a thumb palm, and that way I can be here, I can be in thumb palm position, I can come over, I can give a little tap tap, and I'm already done. I'm ready to go. I remove the cards out of the box, and we are ready to rip a card open and show that the bill's inside. So that's my last bit of advice for you. Don't even worry about trying to load it in a pocket. Just load it out there in the open. One really good gesture that you can use for this that kind of makes sense of this gesture is, you vanish the bill. Like maybe you could put this in an envelope, secretly seal it out, seal the envelope up. They're holding the envelope between their hands. And, maybe they selected a card. I don't know. Your routine is totally up to you. But whenever you're ready for it, you say, okay, so you actually still have that bill in between your hands, right? You're holding it like that. Perfect. Just keep it like that. Don't let go of it. I think this is going to be pretty crazy. And you take the cards out of the box and you're ready to go. So just this gesture of, hey, you're holding this between your hands is enough to kind of help them see what you're doing with this gesture and making it make sense. Just the simple gesture of holding it in your hands. So again, in real time, the cards are here. I've done the bill still or whatever. And I talk about, hey, keep that bill in between your hands. Don't let go. Don't let anybody go near it. Hold it nice and tight. Lock it in. and then that's all I need to do. So at this point, I can take the cards out of the box, and we can continue on with whatever your routine is for Stratis, okay? I hope this helps. I hope this kind of answers some questions you may have about the load process, or some things about how you can get the most out of this gimmick. I think it's really, really cool. I think it's a really, really neat idea. I think it's a really strong effect. And if you want to read my full thoughts on it, you can see that in the blog here. But these are just sort of my tips and tricks that I've had from playing around with it, and I hope you can find some of this useful. And maybe we'll do more of this in the future. If you want more of stuff like this, some of these Madison tips, you can let me know, and maybe I'll come up with a better name. But let me know, and we'll see if we can keep this happening with the review blog. Thanks so much for all your support and all your help. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bonus tip, I almost forgot to tell you this. Here's a little bonus tip for you. For those who have stuck around this long, I guess we'll kind of throw this in here. My bonus tip is this. I don't think this is mentioned in the explanation. I've watched it twice now, and I've even kind of scrubbed through to make sure. I don't see any mention of the fact that these cards are really hard to get out of the box. And I'm sure I've talked about this in the review. You can read it there. But my last little tip is to take out 3, 4, 5 cards from the deck. It makes the cards a little bit easier to remove from the box, and you don't have to worry about fumbling around with it and kind of having a lot of effort. So like, this is what it looks like with 6 cards out of the box. It's nice and easy to remove the cards from the box. You don't have to worry about it looking weird. But if you have a full deck in here, this is what it takes to get it out. Another little tip that I'm going to show you is I've actually cut my box a little bit further than usual. I've just kind of taken an X-Acto knife on the sides, and that just bends this back. Here's where it usually bends back. It usually bends back, about right there. And I've just cut it so that it bends back a little bit more. This allows me to press with my fingers to grab onto this deck and pull it out a little bit easier. I just have a little bit more room for my fingers. Whenever it was like this, it's just not enough room for me to grab it and pull with enough force. So just a little cut there and there allowed that to open up a little bit, and then I have plenty of room for my fingers to grab so that when I go to take the cards out, it's a lot easier. So can you get a whole deck? Absolutely. Would I advise that? No. Can you get a whole deck with jokers and a double backer? No, I can't. I cannot get it in here, and I cannot take it out of here. So keep that in mind. Remove 3, 4, 5 cards, and then it'll work like a dream. Give a little extra cut right here just to give yourself a little bit more room, and that will really help you out too. So that's my little bonus tip, bonus advice for if you have a Stratis, for how to really get the most out of it and make it really, really easy.